Greetings, salutations, respect, and love, all for you, my precious children, tuning in to the Prog Corner today. I am Scott. I will be your host as I lead you through this great new album from I Am the Manic Whale. It's called Bumper Book of Mystery Stories. And I know Notes Reviews and Nathan on Shuffle have beaten me to the punch, and they've already reviewed this thing, but I wanted to give it justice and listen to it a whole bunch of times before I talk about it. I really like this one. This is their fourth album. Follows Things Unseen, which came out in 2020, which had my favorite song of 2020, The Deplorable Words, love it. 2017, their second album came out, The Gathering the Waters. That's got the Lifeboat Man on it, which is really strong, and a tune called Stand Up, which I really like. And then their debut album came out in 2015 that was called Everything Beautiful in Time, which had the marvelous song Circles. Who is I Am the Manic Whale? Well, first of all, it is an anagram for the leader's name, Michael Whiteman. Yeah, you shuffle those letters around, you get it. He's the lead singer and the bass player. He's joined by David Addis on guitar, John Murphy on keys, and Ben Harley on drums. There's a couple guests here. Sally Muneer sings on one track, and Ryo Okamoto. Yeah, he makes an appearance, and why wouldn't he? Michael Whiteman was responsible for co-writing all of Ryo Okamoto's last solo album, Myth of the Mostraphus. It's just fantastic. Yeah, he sings on a couple tracks, but he and Ryo wrote the lion's share of that album, and it's just incredible. So yeah, Ryo's returning the favor, showing up here. Absolutely, he did. If you don't know the Myth of the Mostraphus, you definitely need to check that album out, because it's just fantastic. So what do these guys sound like? Well, in case you didn't catch the connection, their third album was called Things Unseen. So yeah, there used to be a lot of Christian undertone to the music here. This here fourth album, you got none of that. But musically, you still get a lot of Spock's Beard, obviously. Neil Morse, obviously. I hear a lot of Genesis, I hear Big Train, and I also hear XTC in a few places, which is always a bonus for me. I interviewed Ryo Okamoto like 6 months ago, talking about Myth of the Mostraphus, and Michael Whiteman joined in. I'm going to put a link to that video at the end here so you can watch that. It was a lot of fun talking to those two guys. Michael Whiteman is just incredible, and his songwriting has really been ramped up, man. Working with Ryo did something, because I'm going to say it right here at the front end of this video. This is the best thing I Am the Manic Whale have ever done. By far, it's not even close. What's a bumper book? You know, my first experience with a bumper book was there was some XTC bumper book. I guess it's something like a activity book for kids, young boys in particular, I guess, where they can read stories and, do puzzles and all kinds of stuff going on there. I have no idea. We didn't have anything like that when I was a kid growing up. Anyway, the album starts out with a song called Ghost Train Part 1. Yeah, you do get a part 2 at the end of the album, although it's not ID'd that way. It's at the tail end of the final song, and it just basically welcomes you onto this adventure. The metaphoric train is taken off, and you're going to be taken on a wild ride. They promise mysteries and horrors and adventures and thrills and spills. So you're building this thing up, man. These songs better be good, and these adventures better take you someplace, and it really does. The next song is Patient AB, and it starts out with a real frenetic, metal-y guitar riff, which I didn't really understand. It comes back at the very end also. Felt a little tacked on until I listened to the song a few more times, and I realized this song is about mental health and, having something wrong with your brain and surgeries and all that kind of stuff. So maybe that metallic riff is like a electroshock therapy going through your system, or perhaps it's the voices in your head that you can't control. I don't know what it is, but when those spooky keys come in, making me feel like it's a B horror movie or something. John Murphy's keys just sound great here. Yeah, it's a cool song. I really like it. Next up is a song called Dream Fortune. Clocks in at 5 minutes, so it's a short little song. Starts with the old egg shaker for percussion, with the acoustic guitars going and you're picking and you're grinning on your front porch and whatever. Then the chorus hits and you're transported to late era XTC. Man, this sounds just like something off of Nunsuch or Apple Venus. And here you actually get the other guys in the band singing lead on the chorus here, whereas up to this point it's been pretty much all Michael Whiteman. And yeah, it's very sophisticated pop here, very cool chord changes, but your ability to enjoy this band is probably going to be based in large part on your ability to deal with Michael Whiteman's vocals. It's taken me 4 albums to really like it. I'm not going to lie, I didn't really care for it, but on this album, I'm digging it a lot. Next up is the first kind of lengthy track called Secret Passage. It's almost 8 minutes long, and it's just amazing. This boy finds a lever and he pulls it, and you get a entryway, a secret passage opens up, and he goes down with a torch between his teeth, going down into the darkness, and he's transported to a castle. He's transported to a lighthouse, an old farmhouse, Smuggler's Cove. Who knows where he's going to go, but one thing's for sure, he's going to remember to pack his ginger beer. This is obviously hitting a very specific boomer thing in the older white men's imagination about being young again and running wild and running free. In the song, he talks about how they haven't seen adults for days, and the song ends with the line, "I hope the ending was a surprise," and lyrically, not so much, but after listening to it 2 or 3 times, I realized they modulate the key. You're in a whole different key signature, so that's the surprise ending he's talking about. That's pretty clever. Good stuff, Michael. Next up is The Incredible David. At 9 minutes long, it really sets you up for what's coming next on this album. But this is a weird song. It's piano driven in the beginning. You've got a shifting tonality. It starts in C, but it goes in so many places. I have no idea. It's very, very advanced stuff. Very cool. There's a real loose middle section. It's kind of free flowing. And then when that opening section comes back with the full band in tow, really cool stuff, but I have absolutely no idea what this song is about. And then we get into the core, the meat and the potatoes of this thing, and I am 100% with Notes Reviews. Over on their channel, they talked about how this is really the tale of 2 albums. You get the first half with the shorter songs, and then you get the brilliance of the second half of this album, and it starts right here with Nautilus. 13 minutes and 42 seconds of awesomeness. Obviously, this is based on Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And if that's not fertile territory for prog rock storytelling, I really don't know what is, man. Even Rick Wakeman used Jules Verne's for Journey to the Center of the Earth. This is the track where you get Ryo Okamoto. It tells the story of Captain Nemo bringing on some people, and they're basically prisoners on the Nautilus, and he goes insane. And somehow, some way, throughout all this crazy prog instrumentation and everything, you actually start caring about these characters. It's compelling. The storytelling here is very comparable to Big Big Train. I make a direct connection there, but this song here, man, Nautilus, is just amazing. Notes called it the song of the summer. I really can't argue with them. And then the penultimate track comes in, Erno's Magic Cube, clocking in at 5 minutes long, and I did not like this song at all. The first few times I listened to this record, I'm like, what is this song even doing here? It's actually not a bad tune. It's obviously about the Rubik's Cube, but it just didn't seem to fit in at all. And then Note said something in their review that was very, very clever. They were talking about how in these bumper books, you'd always get like a little advertisement at the tail end where they're trying to sell you something, either, a secret decoder spy ring or something. So this is basically an ad placed in the middle of the album. So smart, so cool. It's actually fantastic. And then the album ends with We Interrupt This Broadcast, 14 and a half minutes. It's basically 2 songs. Like I said, this song has got the coda for Ghost Train, so it's kind of Ghost Train Part 2, the last 3 minutes of this track. But this thing starts out just great with some twinkling keyboards and Michael Whiteman just being all over that bass fretboard, just playing notes, really cool, just all over the place, just really fun. You get a heavier section that comes in, then the vocals creep in. And this is a song about something that happened in 1977 where the Southern Television Broadcast Network got hijacked and pirated by Vrillon from the Ashtar Galactic High Command for 7 minutes. There was a message sent out to the southern part of the UK in 1977 before they figured it out and rerouted it and got regular programming back. But in the original message, Vrillon it was basically just telling people that, they need to turn away from war and stuff like that. But in this song, he gives them an ultimatum. We're coming back in 1 earthly year. And if you don't renounce all violence and war, we're going to destroy your planet. Now, that to me sounds like the 1951 film, The Day the Earth Stood Still. So instead of Vrillon from Ashtar High Command, maybe this is more like Claytube. Later on, Keanu Reeves played that role in a remake of the movie. And the idea was, I'm an alien from another world, and you guys ruined this planet, so you guys don't deserve it, so I'm just going to murder all of you. Yeah, so it's kind of a combination of those two things. Yeah, 1977 was a weird year, man. Not only did Star Wars come out, and you had the Southern Television broadcast interruption from Ashtar High Command, but you also had in Delaware, Ohio, the only evidence we've ever found of a signal coming from outer space, the so-called WOW signal. Yeah, this song is just nuts. It goes through a lot of changes, and right before it goes into that Ghost Train Part 2, the piano comes in, and man, I'm thinking a big train again here, man. It's really making me think of Voyager, which I guess makes sense, Both of these songs are about, outer space and, the science fiction kind of stuff, so it does make sense. And then, like I said, Ghost Train Part 2, comes back, and it's the beginning of the album, brought back to the end, going full circle. It's a brilliant move. It just makes the whole thing tie in together. So, boys and girls, what's the score on this bad boy gonna be? Well, just like the Man in the Iron Mask last week, where I rattled my brain, went back and forth, I am gonna stick with a 4.5 headphones on this thing. It's not perfect. There's a couple of those earlier tracks I'm not crazy about. The Rubik's Cube song, maybe I'm not super crazy about, but whatever, man. Nautilus and We Interrupt This Broadcast, those two songs are just so great, man. Some of the best prog rock I've heard all year. I knew Michael Whiteman had it in him. It was obvious from the first, 3 albums that I Am the Manic Whale definitely were going places. And here we are. They finally did it. A near masterpiece, man. This close. I know he's got it in him. Unfortunately, this album is not available on vinyl. The first 3 are still available, so you can order them, you can get them, but this one's only available on CD, so that kind of does bum me out. Hopefully, some wiser heads will prevail and sign this guy, sign this band. They need the attention. All 4 members are just expert at their instruments. Just really good stuff. I can't say enough about this band. I really enjoyed this album. And anyway, hopefully you guys will check it out and you'll like it too. Anyway, I am Scott, and I hope you guys have a good one. Peace in the Middle East, as I always say. Free Tibet, and you know what's coming next. God save the king, boys and girls. Yes, indeed. Save that king. And Britney Spears. Why not?